guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. As promised, a few days ago, we reviewed all of the Void epic champions inside the game. Are they OP? Are they trash? Are they overrated, underrated? You name it, we covered all of them and talked a lot about them. Today, we're gonna do the same thing as I mentioned in that video. A few of you guys in the comments said, yeah, do it with Legendaries as well. So here we are doing it with Legendaries. Instead of going to see the movies tonight, I went and I decided to do this video instead. What a guy, what a guy. Talking Raid Shadow Legends with my friends, aka you, aka the camera that I'm staring at in the room by myself. Yeah, me and my friends just chill.
Is anyone there?
All right, so I was gonna see Dune, by the way. Anybody see the new Dune? I saw a comment on a video, I think yesterday, that said that they really liked it. I didn't like the Dune that was it in the early 80s, late 70s? I didn't really like it, but I did read the book, I don't know, a couple decades ago. So I'm thinking about seeing the movie. If you guys would recommend it, let me know in the comments below. You like it, you not like it, if you did see it. Anyway, or are you planning to see it? Starting with Bannerlords, guys, we have Bannerlords. There's only two Void Legendaries. This video should be fairly short if I don't go on too many long, rambly tangents, okay?
That can never happen, you know that.
So Raglan, I mean, you guys know Raglan? Do you know Raglan? She has this ability called Miracle. It revives an ally with 75% HP and a full turn meter on a 2-turn cooldown. A 2-turn cooldown. Miracle is the best single target revive ability in the game. It's on a 2-turn cooldown with a full turn meter. I mean, it's insane. She also has a cleanse on a 4-turn cooldown and turn meter fill on the A1. She's pretty fast, 104, good base stats, which is one of the better Void champions in the game. Really one of the better champions in the game in Raglan. Baron. Baron is interesting. He has Sky Pierce. It's a secret ability, secret skill, right? So Sky Piercer has a chance of being unlocked on his A1, his A2, and his A3. He wasn't used much really anywhere at all until Doom Tower. Now he's used to clear waves in speed runs for Doom Tower, but he's still not an upper tier champion. He's very slow at 90 speed, especially for a legendary. When I say the surplus damage on his A1, attacks one enemy, will attack remaining enemies with any surplus damage if the target is killed. So you really want to be going after a target with low HP, and then he will be killing them, and then that surplus damage actually does add up quite a bit. 10% chance to unlock Sky Piercer. We have a 20% chance to unlock Sky Piercer on his A2 and a 40% chance on the A3 on a 4-turn cooldown to unlock Sky Piercer. These are just kind of two hard-hitting single target abilities on the A2 and the A3, but Sky Piercer is one of the most insane AoE attacks in the game. Usually it just kills everybody, but I personally, I don't know how you guys feel, I personally don't like secret skills. I don't like Mortu Macabres. I do not like Barons. Overall, a good champion, but I think he needs a rework personally. I doubt Plarium will do so. Ethos is the god of nukes, right? You guys can see, I actually don't have Ethos. I wish I did. He's been someone I've been wanting for a long time. I think they need a 10 times double event. 10 times double Void event, please, Plarium. Serve that up on a silver platter for me if you don't mind. He's a beast, man. He has a strong, hard-hitting 3-time AoE on the A2 with Weaken, and on the A3, attacks all enemies, extinguish life. It does a good job of doing just that. Very, very good nuker, S-tier nuker in the game in Ethos. Bellinor is a very mediocre champion. He's not that great. He does have this A1, what is it, increased crit rate on all allies for 1 turn if the attack is critical. Not a bad ability. I would love to see this for 2 turns. Sounds like it's a small thing, but, you know, cycling, it's weird, right? You'll see with his A4. His A4 is very weird. A2 has decreased defense, weaken, and a Perk Veil on himself, but it's a single target, okay? On his A3, attacks one enemy, will then attack the enemy with the lowest HP with any surplus damage. Another surplus damage ability on a 3-turn cooldown. Okay, good multipliers, but still nothing crazy. His A4 is a Xavia tandem partner champion, right? So it will activate this champion's A1, basically. So his A4 activates his A1. Okay, whatever. Overall, again, Bellinor is, in my opinion, just an average champion. Arbiter is way above average. She is one of the queens of speed. She is the first campaign champion that you get now with Ramen 2 Drake's Blood, who we're going to talk about later in the video. But she has the A2 AoE attack. We have the chance of decreasing the duration of enemy buffs. Nice to have there. Oftentimes can strip away those buffs in the arena as well. She has that arena speed lead that she's well known for, 30%. And she's one of the best. She's the best, right? Arena speed booster. With all apologies to Lysandra, she has the aura. She's the one you see on almost every speed arena team. Her or Kymar, really, right? Increase attack on all allies with the turn meter boost of 30% with the heal as well, and the AoE revival. All right, let's speed it up here, Ash. We're going a little bit too slow. A little bit too much rambling, Ash. Sir Nicholas, the first fusion ever inside the game. The fusion. All right, let's speed it up here, Ash. We're going a little bit too slow. Actually, here I go with a tangent. Oh my God, man, I don't even listen to myself. Actually started playing right after the Sir Nicholas fusion was completed, so I didn't have a chance to go for it. I wish I did, but now he's going to be available to purchase vis-a-vis life tokens after the dupe system is implemented into the game in about 2 months or so, they say. Really good multipliers, a freeze on his A1. On his A2, he has a shield on all allies equal to the damage inflicted, kind of like Miscreated Monster Shield, with a hard-hitting AoE attack based on defense, and unkillable and continuous heal HP in all battles as well. We have Venus, who some people think Venus has been really power crept. I respectfully disagree with those people. I think she's still a tremendous champion, man. One of the best debuffers in the game. She has a ton of HP. She has a lot of speed. You love to see it on your debuffer, right? She has on her A1 poison, on her A2 decreased defense and weaken on a 3-turn cooldown. On her A3 HP burn on all enemies on an AoE attack. She can dish out some serious damage, guys. Her A4 is when Cupidus is on the team, removes all buffs from all enemies, and then has a 50% chance of granting an extra turn. She also has HP in all battles by 33%. She's a really, really good champion. Still, she's a really good champion, right? There's not that many champions who can do what, there's no champion who can do what Venus does. Cardiel, speaking of really great champions, this is a Void Legendary champion. I don't have him. Boy, do I wish I did. He has like a Sky Touch Shaman, only better on a 3-turn instead of a 4-turn, and the Revive on Death cannot be removed on the A2. So block debuffs, a Cleanse, and a Revive on Death for 2 turns. And of course, the ally attack with increased crit damage, increased crit rate on the A3. So very, very good, exceptionally good champion. This cool passive as well. You guys can take a moment to read that. And speed in all battles by 19%. Canoness, you are not a legendary. Sacred Order is done. Barbarians are underway. Turvold, he's a single target damage dealer, and you know me, I generally kind of hate on single target damage dealers in this game, but Turvold is a beast, man. He's one of the better raw damage dealers in the game. Some people say that Brachus is a little bit higher. I actually prefer Turvold, but either way, he has a weaken on the A1. He has this grant an extra turn of self-buffing ability, increase attack, increase crit rate, increase speed, and then his A3 Judgment attacks one enemy 2 times on a 3-turn cooldown, and the damage increases according to how many buffs is on Turvold. That can be an insanely hard-hitting ability. We're talking Clan Boss, Ultra Nightmare, assuming he has, let's say, 4 or 5 buffs on in good gear. We're looking at 250 to 300k per hit on that A3. Ursiga Warcaller. She's a great support champion. 108 speed. She's very fast. Don't let looks deceive you guys.
Well, this is gonna hurt like a mother.
Pretty cool champion, right? I have her and I put her in a Guardian set. Very, very effective, right? A lot of damage mitigation coming from Ursiga Warcaller. She has an AoE attack that places either decreased crit damage and decreased attack on nukers, or decreased speed and decreased defense on, more tanky units. On a 3-turn cooldown, then she has Ally Protect and Strengthen on all champions for 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Decrease the damage all allies receive from critical hits by 30%. She'll receive that damage instead. Very, very good support champion. Yakarl the Scourge. So he's not one of my favorite champions. What do the reviews say on this dude? Oof. Yeah. The good thing about Yakarl is that his A2 here is A2. His A2 hits very hard, a 6-time multiplier on his A2. So it's a hard-hitting ability. This is the highlight of his kit, in my opinion, right? Blizzard Rider. Decreased speed, we have a freeze, 100% freeze, and then we steal 100% of their turn meter and place increased speed on himself for 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. That's a really good ability. The rest of his kit is just mediocre, though. If the target has freeze, it removes the freeze, places it on their other, allies, the enemy team's allies. So kind of a debuff spread and remover ability here on a 4-turn cooldown. You'd think it would have more synergy. You think it'd be better than it is, but everything that I've heard about this guy is just kind of underwhelming across the board. But again, does deal a massive amount of damage on that A2. Tuanarak, one of my favorite champions added this year. You guys have been watching the channel for any amount of time. I mean, I would say do not sleep on her, but do people really sleep on Void Legendaries? Pretty much no, right? A lot of HP, a decent amount of defense, a lot of speed. She has a debuff sprawl, decreased speed on her A1, continuous heal on herself, and the ally with the lowest HP. So 2 continuous heals on the A1. Keep that in mind when we talk about her passive. On the A2, we have decreased attack and block buffs for 2 turns. Block debuffs would suck on a 3-turn cooldown, but it also applies a debuff spread, taking 2 random debuffs from that target, placing them on all enemies. So it could be decreased attack and block buffs on all enemies on that A2. On the A3, increased defense and increased speed on a 3-turn cooldown. And then on the passive, removes 1 random debuff from all allies at the start of each turn, or removes 2 random debuffs from the start of allies under continuous heal buffs. Very, very, very good support champion. Moving on to Ogren Tribe, there's only one, is Gurgo the Augur. Kind of an old school champion, right? He is the king, the original king of freeze. He has Avalanche on a 5-turn cooldown. It places an extra hit if the target has freeze, but he applies freeze on his A2. Removes 2 random buffs from all enemies, and then has a 100% chance win booked of placing a freeze debuff on all enemies for 1 turn, and then grants an extra turn. So you freeze everybody, boom, you remove 2 of their buffs, boom, and then you grant an extra turn, go into his hard-hitting A3. This also has a 6 multiplier on it as well, very similar to the damage you're going to be expecting from your Karl's A2. So overall, a very, very good champion. He also has a 50% chance of placing a freeze on the attacker as well. So very, very cool if he loses more than 20% HP from the attack. So that is Gurgo the Augur, very good champion. Lizardmen, we have 2. Krisk the Ageless. I'm not going to spend too much time on this dude. An absolute insane amount of defense and a decent amount of HP as well. Let's go from the backwards, from the back to the front here.
What the
I don't know if that came out right. We have a freeze at the beginning of each round based on 50% of his max HP, and then has a 100% chance of placing a decreased defense and a decreased attack on the attacker when he's hit. He also has provokes, he's going to get hit a lot. So just that passive plus his A3, you're already really cooking here. We have increased defense on himself, increased speed on all allies. That's on a 3-turn cooldown. We have an AoE attack with Ally Protect, continuous heals on himself, 2 of them, and increase the duration of all buffs on allies. Makes him insane for the clan boss, that ability. And then decrease speed on an AoE on his A1. You might as well. So I do not have Ramen 2 Drake's Blood yet, guys. He is the final champion that you unlock after you finish campaign. What do people say about him? Not super impressed. And the reason I put a little bit more credence into these reviews as opposed to normal average reviews here on an average champion is because these are the tryhards, these 86 people who reviewed him. These are the first people in the game to get their hands on him. So, generally more hardcore players. So, the reviews might mean a little bit more. I've heard he's a little bit underwhelming in terms of the hype. The hype was he was going to be, potentially the best champion in the game, or a top 5, top 10 champion in the game. People who have him, I've heard that he's a little bit very good, but not that good. And the reviews kind of reflect that, right? He does have a 4-time hitter on his A2, very similar in some ways to kind of Riho Bone Spear, where he's a single target. He's placing a ton of different debuffs on each hit, though, so it's not quite as reliable, but still, it's a good ability. And then we have Blood Wings. This is the ability that he's really known for here. He has a 3-turn cooldown, an AoE AoE, we have a 100% chance of removing all buffs before attacking, and then we have block active skills for enemies without passive skills, and block passive skills for enemies with passive skills. In a weird way, what I've heard about this champion is, it'd be better if it was just block active skills. That's it, and remove the passive, even though it seems like, ooh, that's cool. As someone who blocks passive skills, in a way, it's just more reliable to have them blocking active skills. However, no matter how you look at it, that's an insane ability, an absolute insane ability. Very, very good. Whenever an enemy places any of these CC, the strongest debuffs in the game will instantly fill his turn meter, placed on himself, by the way, not on an ally. Fill his turn meter by 30%, increase speed, shield, and shield equal to his max HP. So a very good champion, certainly one of the best in the game. That I guess is arguable. What do you think of Ramantu, guys? You think he's really, really good, or just okay, overhyped, underhyped, whatever? Coronar. He's a champion that I am a massive fan of. Massive fan of this dude. He's not the best champion in the game, but 27k HP. Let's start there for an HP-based champion. His A1 is so good, man. Has a 50% chance of decreasing each target's turn meter by 5%. Attacks all enemies 2 times instead of 1. And the chance of decreasing target's turn meter increases to 100% if Manaya is on the same team. One of the better champion tandem synergies inside the entire game is Coronar in Manaya. Were they Beauty and the Beast? Was that like a Valentine's Day thing? I think it might have been. Either way, we have a Provoke on the A2. That's a 3-turn cooldown, 100% chance to win both to placing a Provoke. Also block debuffs and increase defense on himself. Remove debuffs from the champion, places block debuffs and increase defense if Manaya is on the same team. Again, very, very powerful ability. And then an AoE attack with decreased attack and defense on a 4-turn cooldown. But his passive is what's so cool about him. This passive right here. It counterattacks when hit by an enemy under decreased attack, decrease defense, or decrease speed, not and. So decrease defense, you know, most teams have a debuffer on them already, so he's going right into everything, and he has a provoke, so he's getting attacked a lot, right? Kind of like Krisk, but he's going back into turn meter every single time. Every single counterattack is a 50% chance of reducing everybody's turn meter by 5%. 5% does not sound like much, but you guys know, if you have Coronar, if you've seen him in action, it really adds up. This guy's counterattacking like an insane amount of times. Insane. And for that reason too, he puts out a lot of damage, a sneaky amount of damage. Very good champion. Tamisha is, I don't have her, but she's kind of a spider specialist, or frost spider specialist as well. She's all about HP burns. On her A2, she attacks all enemies, places HP burn for 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, right? And she can stun them as well, or decrease speed if they have less than 50% turn meter. So we get crowd control, we get HP burn, great ability, right? On the A3, attacks 1 enemy. Damage increases up to 400% for each active HP burn in the battle. I also have a chance of decreasing target's turn meter by 15%, 15% for each active HP burn, HP burn debuff in the battle. So you guys can already see the synergy between her and Spider, man. She can solo Spider all the way through level 20. She can be 21 to 25 Spider. She can duo or trio with the right champions on HP burn strategy, like Achak the Wenderin, for example. However, you know, she's best in a support role. But either way, she's a really good champion, a little niche in her use case, but really good. And she also has a cool passive here in her heat that actually transfers freezes to HP burns. And that synergizes, you know, very well with her A3. More HP burns, more damage off of this ability. So, very cool champion, a recent addition to the game. Leorious the Proud Man, my man Leo. I pulled him on my last shard opening video. I'm happy to tell you guys, I'll show you guys, who cares, right? The chances of me doing this video in a short amount of time are already way out the window anyway. We left off on Orcs here. I think Leo was the last. He was. Okay, so we'll come back on Orcs. But let me show you, I'm having a lot of fun with this dude. I don't want to buy that. Let me show you him in the arena. Who cares? Little interlude here. Intermission. Welcome to intermission, boys and girls. Here we go. Watch me lose this one. Let's go out to this team. This team looks really, really good. Let's see how we do. I'm running him on this team here. He is in, I can't show you he's in Savage set. 94, 266. Basically, a little bit of accuracy due to land the A3. Although I see in the end game, people, this A3 attacks all enemies with true fear. I don't see many people taking advantage of this, building him with a lot of accuracy in the arena. They're just going all out attack, and, you know, so that is what it is. This champion is immune to all the CC debuffs when the skill is not on cooldown. Really cool, right? He's not going to be affected by Tormund. So let's go ahead and see how we do against this team. So Arbiter goes first. We put them to sleep. He comes in. Not too bad, not too bad. He will get a chance to see it again. Oh, I forgot to say his passive, right? His passive puts an unkillable on himself, very similar to Skullcrown's passive, right? So he's extra annoying to deal with in the arena. He comes back in again. He does a lot of damage, but keep in mind the team that we're going against. Mountain King, Vrask, Sify. Yeah, there's a lot. Of HP on that enemy team, a lot of defense on that enemy team. So this could go either way right now.
How you doing? Well, I'm doing just fine. I lied, I'm dying.
Now that we have the revival off cooldown, I'm afraid we might lose this one. So intermission was a big fat L, but it's not quite over yet. Let's see. With the resist aura too, it really mitigates my Tormund, and it's looking like we might die, especially if my Arbiter keeps getting CC'd by Sify's A1 that cannot be resisted as well. You know what? Intermission. Screw the intermission. Forget we even did this. Hopefully you guys fast forward through the intermission. Either way, Leorious the Proud. You know what? I want revenge. I want revenge.
Let it go, let it go, let it go.
Not on that team. Let's go against an easier team here so we can guarantee victory, even though we're going against Foley, who's not good in Tormund, but I think we'll be okay. All right, nobody dies because of the unkillable. That's a beautiful thing, right? There we go. There we go. Man, we just wasted 2 minutes of the video trying to show you Leorious the Proud in the arena. All right, back to the index. Back to, man, we're only at Orcs. Ah! Warlord, one of the better champions inside the entire game. Most would argue a top 5 or top 10 champion inside the game. We have block debuffs on all allies for 1 turn. We have a shield on all allies as well, along with a heal. But really, Orcish Ritual is all you need to know about this dude. Well, not really, but you know, it's an amazing ability. 4-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies. 100% chance to put each target's skills on cooldown, and then an additional chance, 60% chance of fully depleting each target's turn meter. What? Very, very good ability, very good champion. Whereas Angar, the only other Void Legendary from Orcs, he's more of a niche champion. He's really only good, I hesitate saying this because it depends on your champions, your team, where you are in the game, but at least in the end game, only used against Magma Dragon as a Provoker and Fire Knight. Because on his A1, he has a Provoke. On the A2, he has another Provoke. On an AoE with Reflect damage, counterattack on himself. So he's a provoking machine. If an enemy with provoke debuff attacks, has a 50% chance when booked of in placing a provoke debuff on them for another, or debuff on them for another turn. So very, very, the god of provoke, if you will. So him and War Chief stand side by side as Magma Dragon Specialist, or with the Reflect against Fire Knight as well. Demon Spawn, there's only 2 here as well. Krutraxa, I love Krutraxa. She's an arena monster, also good for Fire Knight. Or counterattack, or ally attack teams, or counterattack teams, right? So on her A2, she opens up in the arena with this. She places Weaken. You usually don't need Weaken because usually they're dead, right? She has a chance of removing 2 random buffs and then grants an extra turn. Very hard-hitting A3. It's on a 4-turn cooldown, but that extra turn immediately brings it, you know, down to a 3-turn after you use it, and then a 4-time hitter, ignoring 50% of defense on the A1. That's insane. So you one-shot somebody in the arena, you come back in with the A2, and you ideally kill somebody else. She has a revive on death at the start of each round on herself as well. Very, very good for the arena. And Ithwi Blood Twin, listen, there's 2 types of people in this world. People who love an Ithwi Blood Twin, people who don't love an Ithwi Blood Twin. I am in the latter camp. I hate to say it, but I gotta be real with you guys. I'm not gonna say everybody's an amazing champion. First of all, look at this dude's attack. 1729 attack. I remember when I first pulled him, I was like, man, I've beaten Raid Shadow Legends. I'm done. You know, I've got the highest attack ever. And his multipliers are crap. Dude, that's so dirty, man. Little rant, but it's so dirty that Plarium does that. Attack means nothing. It's all about multipliers, you know? Only reason I ever look at attack really on a damage dealer is just if it's like really low, like 900 or 1,000 on someone who's supposed to be a damage dealer, you raise an eyebrow. Other than that, 1,400 and 1,700, it's a useful tool, but it's basically tells you nothing. No Mercy does hit fairly hard. Not 1,700 base attack hard, but fairly hard. His A3 hits pretty weak, Tormenting Whispers, but it does have an AoE leech, which isn't bad. The special thing about him, though, which makes him useful in the arena against revivers and against Ice Golem because of the minions, right, is enemies killed by him cannot be revived. Also a heal as well, each time they kill an enemy. So good for those use cases. He's not a trash champion. I was just expecting, like anything in life, it's a game of expectations. I was expecting so much better, and I was really let down by his damage. I don't really use him. I don't use him. Anyway, we have Siphi, one of the best champions in the game. I would definitely consider a top 5 champion. She has the A1, sleep or a heal. She has the A2, block debuffs, increased defense, increased speed on a 4-turn cooldown, and then an insane revival as well. Single target 4-turn cooldown, full turn meter with increased attack and increased crit rate. Great for nukers, a great reviver for the arena, right? And then we have a heal on the passive at the start of each turn. I love these passives. You guys know I love Syl the Drake, so of course, why wouldn't I love Siphi as well? Overall, an insanely good champion, resistant in all battles by 80 as well. Necrit the Great, another really, really good champion. A lot of HP. I throw him in a shield set as well. So he's bringing a shield to the table, and I want to start with this passive right here. This is what makes him so cool to me. Your most fragile champion, the champion with the lowest max HP on your team. At the start of every round, not at the start of his turns, start of every round, he's placing block debuffs, a strengthen, and an ally protect. Ally protect for 6 turns. 50% damage mitigation, plus a strengthen and block debuffs for 3 turns. That is a very powerful part of his kit that people don't talk about enough. And then he has block debuffs, ally protect, and strengthen on an ally. And then he has an ally attack as well, including all the allies under his ally protects. Very cool champion. Grants an extra turn if no enemies are killed during this attack as well. Great for bosses. Really a big fan. Urza Soul Cage. What a fun champion, right? He's set pretty useful with Strengthen and Ally Protect on his A3. But really, it's about this passive, man. He's the second Doom Tower hard champion that you unlock. And he's way better than I initially thought, right? He can solo Scarab King, which is mainly how I use him. Very good, right? Solo Scarab. Does he solo Nether Spider? Who else does he solo? Let me check real quick. Yeah, Scarab King, but he's good against basically every Doom Tower boss. He's a Doom Tower boss specialist because of this passive. Just deals an insane amount of damage. When attacked, it's a 75% chance of placing a poison debuff on the attacker. You can read the rest of it, but is increasing his max HP. It's whenever an enemy receives damage from the poison, it decreases their max HP. Again, perfect for the Scarab King, but overall a very, very solid champion. All right, Little Miss Annie, in honor of Halloween, guys, she's the creepiest, gnarliest looking champion in the game. Does that freak you out? That freaks me out, man. But very, very fun. She can one-shot almost anybody with this play date in the arena specifically. I have not seen a harder hitting single target ability. Maybe, Dead Aim, the A3 on Royal Huntsman. But I don't know, even Playdate I think might be stronger than that in my experience. Anyway, guys, you revive her, right? And she actually revenges. She immediately attacks the person who killed her and then fills her turn meter and places a shield on her as well. She also has a hard-hitting A2 and a hard-hitting A1. A very fun champion, not broken, not one of the best champions in the game, but very fun to play around with. Dark Elves, we have 3. Blind Seer, the fastest champion in the game, also one of the best defense auras in all battles by 34%. So fast, great aura, a decent revival. Is a 5-turn cooldown, revives everybody with block damage for 1 turn, 35% HP. Problem is they have no turn meter either, And oftentimes they can be lapped, that block damage can be removed, and they just kind of die again. So I'm not a big fan of her revival. That said, she does have block debuffs for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown and a shield, and she has turn meter decrease, on the A1. And being as fast as she is with that aura, she's an incredibly good champion, good support champion, an underrated champion in my opinion. Only thing is not the best reviver if that's all you're looking for from her. Lydia the Death Siren, I think, is a top 5 champion overall inside the game. She's fast, insane stats. She's who you get from beating the faction wars inside this game. And then she has decreased defense and weaken on a 3-turn cooldown with increased speed, with strengthen on all allies. Are you kidding me? You can block out an enemy with an A3, and she can deny revival attempts. Revive your own team instead. Lydia the Death Siren. Wow. She's really good, huh, guys? Visix the Unbowed. After her buff, she's actually really good too. So on her A2, she attacks all enemies with decreased speed and ally protect on all allies on a 3-turn cooldown. On the A3, she's placing a provoke on everybody and a shield on herself. Her damage is based on defense. Both the AoE attacks are on a 3-turn cooldown. You can put her in a stun set if you want even extra CC on top of the provoke, or as I prefer, put her in lifesteal, because between the provoke and the ally protection, if there is any downside with Visix the Unbowed, is that she's taking a ton of damage. So lifesteal helps kind of regain some of that back. Excuse me. Nice Revenant. We have Solus, who also was a recipient of a recent buff. Very, very, very hard-hitting A3. He also got a bunch of speed added to him. I think his speed used to be, what, like 89? It was very low. So a well-needed buff in that department. This Reign of Terror makes him a viable AoE nuker inside the arena, even Platinum tier, guys. Reign of Terror, it's going to be like a 4.9 or so, if I'm correct. Multiplier on this ability. Very, very hard-hitting, guys. So good in that regard, but not incredibly versatile at the same time. Hegemon, known for the passive, which he always goes first, leading into the decrease attack, but more importantly, block active skills. Very, very niche for the arena, but boy is he a god at doing what he does, which is being very, very annoying inside the arena. And then Whirlum Frost King, very good champion after his buff. Not enough people are giving him credit and talking about him. An incredibly good Doom Tower aura for the late game, especially where the most challenging content is. You can't get better than 40% Doom Tower battles, right? And then we have Strengthen and Increased Defense on a 3-turn cooldown on the same ability. Very, very good there. We have Freeze on the A1 and a Perfect Veil on the ally with the lowest HP if the freeze is placed, a Veil if it's not. So very, very solid there, or if it's blocked or resisted, I should say. And then on the A2, he has decreased crit damage, decreased crit damage and decreased accuracy that cannot be resisted on an AoE, with increased crit damage on all allies with a decently hard-hitting attack on top of that. Man, Whirlum is really, really good now. All right, Dwarfs. Only one, it's Tormund the Cold. So Tormund, man, love this guy. I've said this, I've shared this story before, but I didn't fuse Tormund. I pulled him maybe a few months afterwards, and I kind of took him as like an arena niche champion. Oh, he freezes everybody, so annoying because of this passive. However, he's so much more than that, man. He's a great CC champion anywhere inside the game. He's, he has freeze everywhere inside of his kit. He's dealing a lot of damage. He has an AoE on the A3 with block buffs and heal reduction on enemies under freeze, which they often are. He also has a provoke, an 80% provoke on this ability on enemies not under that freeze, right? And then lastly, decreases the cooldown of a random skill for each ally, for 1 turn for every enemy attacked under both freeze and HP burn. So there's some nice synergy there if you pair him with a burner in PvE content, excuse me. And then he has another AoE, like I said, on his A1. Very, very good champion overall. Tormund the Cold, big fan. He also has defense in all battles by 33%. What a boss. What a boss. All right, I am just such a huge fan of Tormund, man. Last Void Legendary in the game, Rio Bone Spear, guys. Another insanely good champion. There's so many good. Go figure, right? The most pay-to-win champions inside the entire game. There's so many good Void Legendary champions. She has a continuous heal on the A1. On the A2, she's putting every debuff known to man on a single target here. And very hard-hitting multipliers for a support champion. On the A3, a cleanse and then block debuffs for 2 turns with the heal. Really, really good ability. On a 3-turn cooldown, guys. And then the passive, hey, no big deal. When receiving any debuff, it will instantly transfer that from this champion back onto the attacker. Dude. Sick champion, sick kit. What a way to end the video, guys. Let me know what you think of these champions. Do you disagree with me on any of these legendary Void champions? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching all the way till the end. Should I do a Void Rares, or should we just pass on that? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching all the way till the end, and as always, take care, guys.